This video is about solving equations. We're going to start off by looking at one-step equations. For example, x plus 13 equals 27. Whenever you're solving equations, your goal is ultimately to isolate the variable. Okay, in this case, the variable is x. So we're going to work to get x alone. The way we're going to do that is by using something called inverse operations. If you look at this problem, it's x plus 13 equals 27. So if we want to get x alone, we have to remove this plus 13. And the way that we do that is by using an inverse operation, and the inverse operation of addition is subtraction. So we're going to do minus 13 minus 13. 13 minus 13 cancels out. We're left with x equals 27 minus 13 is 14. So we've solved the equation for the variable x, which equals 14. We've isolated that variable, and then we should check to see if that's correct. The way that we check is by taking what we found, x equals 14, and putting that into our equation, replacing x with 14, adding 13 to it, and seeing if that equals 27. 14 plus 13 is indeed 27, so 27 equals 27. That checks out. We're good. The same properties and process works for multiplication and division. If we have the equation 5x equals 20, we know the operation being done here between 5 and x is multiplication. Okay, this is a coefficient. So to undo that, the inverse operation would therefore be to do division. The inverse operation for multiplication is division. So we're going to divide both sides by 5 and find that x equals 4, which if we plug in 5 times 4, it does in fact equal 20. So we have 20 equals 20, and that's correct. A similar process works with fractions. We just have to make sure we do the fraction math correctly. So in this case, 4/5 m is equal to 28. We have to first identify what math is being done. Well, 4/5 and m, again, that's a coefficient and a variable, so that's multiplication. So to undo multiplication, we have to do division. If we want to divide by a fraction, the first thing we need to do is find the reciprocal. The reciprocal of 4/5 is 5/4, and so we multiply both sides by this reciprocal. 4/5 times 5/4, that cancels out to 1, so that simplifies to 1, so that just leaves us with m here. 28 times 5/4. The easiest way to do this is 28 divided by 4, which is 7. 7 times 5, 35. So m should equal 35. And then if we go back through the process, 4/5 of 35 is in fact 28. So that checks out. Many equations will have more than one step involved in solving them. A simple example would be 2x plus 3 equals 15. But we just want to do it step by step. So the first step we're going to do here is subtract 3. And you might ask, well, why not divide by the 2 first? Well, you want to start as far away from the variable as possible, but stay on the same side of the equation. So we're going to isolate x, and we want to start from the outside and work our way back towards x. Plus 3 is further away, so we're going to go ahead and start by subtracting 3. You can also think about it like reverse PEMDAS, okay? Multiplication in this case and division is going to come after the addition and subtraction. So we subtract 3 from both sides. We get 2x equals 12. We're going to divide both sides by 2, and we're going to find that x equals 6. We want to test that out, make sure that that works. So we replace x with 6, and we have 2 times 6 plus 3 equals 15. 2 times 6 is 12 plus 3 equals 15. Does 15 equal 15? Sure does. So that checks out. Now we put everything together. Again, here we have a multi-step equation that needs to be solved. Now before, in the last section, you heard me say that you want to move as far away from the variable on the one side of the equation as possible and then move towards it. Well, it looks a little bit confusing. It doesn't look like 7 is necessarily further away or 3 is necessarily further away. But what you have to think about is the fact that this fraction bar here is a grouping symbol. And it means that you're going to do everything on top and then everything on the bottom, which means we're going to do the reverse when we're solving this equation. We're going to deal with the side that doesn't have the variable first. So we're going to deal with this 3. And this fraction bar is saying division by 3, so we're going to do multiplication. We're going to multiply by 3. If we multiply by 3 here, that cancels out to 1, and we're left with x minus 7 equals negative 12 times 3 is negative 36. And then we add 7 to both sides, and we get x equals 29, negative 29. Then we can plug that back in to test it. So we take negative 29 minus 7 over 3, and I'm going to put this in parentheses just for clarification, equals negative 12. Negative 29 minus 7 is negative 36 divided by 3 equals negative 12. Negative 36 divided by 3 is in fact negative 36 divided by 3 equals negative 12. That's correct. Negative 12 equals negative 12. Good.